Okay, good afternoon. So today we're going to talk about the pruning and the training and the cropping of this tree here. So it is a 6-year-old red chief, so red chief as a variety is a very low vigour sport of red delicious, a spur type red delicious, and it is grafted onto M793, which is normally quite a vigorous rootstock. But for a 6-year-old tree, this is not a big tree. It is quite low vigour. It has formed a lot of fruit buds. But I think it would be very helpful before we do any pruning to get the cropping history of this tree. So maybe my friends here can tell us the history last season of the number of fruits and the size of the fruits on this tree.
लास्ट ईयर की हिस्ट्री बताओ आप इनको कि कितने फ्रूट लगे इसमें साइज
तो इसमें मैक्सिमम फ्रूट जो स्मॉल साइज का रहा है छोटा और प्लांट फ्रूट्स तो इसमें पूरा भरा हुआ प्लांट है मतलब 10 to 15 kg इसमें आता है 10 to 15 पर प्लांट छोटा साइज स्मॉल साइज 65 to 75
So 10 to 15 kgs of a smaller size, 65 millimeter fruit diameter. Yeah. And you did no chemical thinning and you did no hand thinning. Is that correct?
हैंड थिनिंग सर किसी प्लांट में करते भी है, किसी में नहीं भी करते हैं. केमिकल थिनिंग नहीं करते. नो केमिकल.
Yes. And how much hand thinning did you do? How many fruits did you remove by hand? Minimum, yeah. Okay, so this tree in this situation with the pollination that we have and all of the other factors is it's not setting up a large amount of fruit. So we have to know this and understand this before we do our pruning. I'm interested in why we had a relatively low number of fruits, but they did not grow large. So what was the limiting factor to producing a larger size apple here? Would you have any idea what prevented the apples from becoming 75 millimeters? Was it a shortage of water?
Yeah,
could be. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so looking at the tree, and let's talk about the variety and its growth habit. So as a spur red delicious, it naturally wants to grow very upright branches. It's described as a basotonic variety, so it wants to go like that. So I think it's too late to change that. We'll work with what we have here. We'll just think about maximising the number of buds of the best fruiting wood that we have on this tree. It's too late to change the form of the tree. In fact, we could think that in future this can become a multi-leader tree. We could see that the permanent branches will be this one, this one, this one, and this one. So over time we could develop 4 permanent upright branches. We're not going to grow a spindle tree with flat branches because it is too difficult to change that now. So I'm thinking, looking at the tree here, we have some fruiting wood that is really too low. And if we were going to have some crop underneath, garlic or forage crop or green crop, then it would be too low. If we're thinking about any improvements we wanted to make to the soil structure. And also this fruit is low down and so more difficult to get to. We have some weaker wood in here and it's a little bit dense and crowded in here, so the light penetration is not so good. So we could select, keep some of the better wood in here and remove some of the weaker wood. We have an upright branch here that is quite strong. We have another 1-year-old shoot here, but we have very little new growth on this tree. So yeah, the fruit was small and the amount of growth was small. So we need to understand what our limiting factor was. Maybe it's water, maybe it's nutrition. Those are the two things to consider and whether we can change that. So that's the situation as I see it, and I'll now prune the tree. Okay? So we'll take the low ones off. No good to us. And there, that's growing inside. I think the one big cut that I'm going to make, I'm going to remove this branch here. It has been headed. It is growing right into this one. And while this is not a great situation here with these two, I think it's too late to change that. But I think we could divert the growth here into this branch, and that will become one of our permanent branches. So I'll remove that one there. And that's probably the biggest single cut I'll make on this tree. And now I'll just finish by removing some of the weaker wood that will also grow the smaller apples. So we want to keep the larger diameter shoots with the bigger, fatter spurs because they can grow larger apples. And I'll remove some of the weaker wood. So that's weak and inside the tree, that's weak and inside. That's weak and thin. That's also quite weak, and that is weak. Again, we're a little bit clashing here. I could either take out that good strong one, but that's a nice piece of wood, or I can take out this one which is a bit weaker and growing in this space. So that's a 50-50 call. Probably the best thing to do to create more space for all of these branches would be, sadly, to remove that nice fatter piece of wood. So I'm just about finished here because the guys said that we only set enough fruit to carry the crop. We had no thinning to do, so I don't want to remove any more. There is the possibility of some detail work where, say here we have a lot of spurs, too many spurs, so we could remove some of the spurs like that, and just to strengthen that up and to reduce the possibility of setting many fruit on there and then having to thin them off. So that we could even consider doing more of that on the weak branches that have a lot of spurs. So really, I think I'm finished. It's very easy doing a pruning demonstration to keep going and prune too much, but I think it's time to stop. You know, this branch is really very low, but it is a younger branch and it has good strong spurs and it can grow some good fruit. So even though it's not in the best place, I think because of those reasons we'll keep it.
How many years?
Well, we could keep it for indefinitely, for the life of the tree potentially. As I said before, this is not a pretty tree, but our focus is to make it a productive tree that will earn us some money. So it's not a beauty show, it's about productivity and production. So unless there's any questions.
What happens to these in the future?
Oh, I forgot about that. Thanks, David. Yeah, this one. Thank you very much. I think the best thing here, we've got competition between this two. This guy here is not helping as far as our 4 main structural leaders go. So I think the best thing to do there is just to remove that. This one here, it is upright, but we could maybe leave this one for now. Next year it will develop spurs like this, and it can produce. So this is a smaller branch than our main leader, whereas this one was dominating and crowding in the centre of the tree. So for that reason I removed it. So that's us.